My name is Emily Carter, I'm 29 years old, and the night my family celebrated my birthday, they tried to erase me from their lives, not quietly, not privately, in front of everyone. There were cameras, smiles. Champagne glasses raised, and then a document. My stepbrother slid it across the table like it was a gift. My stepmother watched me open it like she was waiting for a reaction. It wasn't a card, it was a legal notice, signed, stamped. Cold, it said I was no longer part of the Carter family, just like that. And while everyone at the table pretended this was normal, someone laughed. I remember that sound more than anything. But here's the part they didn't know: by the time they tried to cut me out of their world, I had already built one they could never step into. And in less than a week, they were going to walk straight into it. Without realizing, I was the one in control. Before I continue, tell me something honestly. What would you do if your own family tried to erase you in public? Because I didn't cry, I didn't argue, I just let them finish. And then I walked away, but that moment, that didn't start that night. It started years ago. I grew up in Austin, Texas, but not the kind of life people imagine when they hear family. My father passed away when I was 12. A year later, my stepmother Diane moved in, and with her came her son Caleb. From the outside, we looked like a perfect reset. New family, fresh start. Inside, I became the extra piece no one needed. Caleb was the star. Straight-A student, athlete, future business owner according to Diane, and me, I was the quiet one, the sensitive one, the one who needed to figure things out, which really meant I didn't fit their version of success. At dinner, they talked about investments, expansions, connections. I talked about people, how they felt, what they needed, how small things made a difference. They called it soft, useless, not real work, especially when I took a job as a front desk assistant at a boutique hotel downtown. Diane actually laughed the first time I told her. A receptionist, she said. That's temporary, right? I smiled. Yeah, I said, because explaining myself never changed anything, but that hotel, it changed everything. It was called the Linden House. Small, quiet, but the kind of place where every guest expected perfection, not luxury, precision, and I was good at it, really good. I remembered names, preferences. Details people didn't even realize they shared, and one night that mattered. A major investor checked in late, flight delay, lost reservation, bad mood. Everyone else avoided him. I didn't. I stayed calm, listened. Fixed what I could and improved what I couldn't. By morning, he wasn't complaining anymore. He was impressed. Before he left, he handed me a card, no speech, just one line. You understand people better than most executives I know. I didn't think much of it at the time, but a week later I got an email and everything started to shift. Meanwhile, at home, things were getting worse. I wasn't invited to events anymore. Family dinners became business dinners. Photos, I slowly disappeared from them. One Christmas, they sent out cards, 3 people, Diane, Caleb, my dad's old business partner, standing in, not me. When I asked about it, Diane said, we didn't think it was necessary. Not necessary, that stayed with me. The breaking point came a few months before my birthday. Diane texted me, no greeting, no question. Need you at the annual fundraiser, wear your hotel uniform, it'll make the brand look grounded. That's when it clicked. I wasn't family, I was a prop, and for the first time I didn't say yes, I just replied. I won't be there. That one message changed everything. My birthday dinner was planned 2 weeks later. They said it was small, intimate. It wasn't, it was staged. From the moment I walked in, I could feel it. Caleb had his phone out. Recording, Diane was overly warm, too polite, and the people at the table, not friends, witnesses, we barely talked about me. It was all about Caleb's new venture, Diane's connections, future plans. I just sat there, waiting. Then dessert came, and so did the envelope. When I opened it, everything went quiet. Even the background music felt distant. I read every word, slowly, carefully. They expected me to break. Instead, I folded it, put it back inside, and said, okay, that's it. No tears, no scene, just okay. And I stood up and walked out. Outside, the air felt different, like something had ended but something else had finally begun. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't feel rejected. I felt free. That night, I went home and opened that email again, the one I never answered, from a man who owned a nationwide hospitality group. A man who had been watching quietly, waiting, and this time I replied. The reply came faster than I expected, less than 10 minutes. I was still sitting on the edge of my bed, still holding that envelope they gave me when my phone buzzed. Miss Carter, I was hoping you'd respond. Can you meet tomorrow? That was it. No long introduction, no corporate tone, just direct. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't overthink it. I typed back, yes. I'll be there. The next morning, I stood outside a glass building in downtown Austin. 40 floors, quiet power. The kind of place where decisions happen behind closed doors, and somehow I was walking into it. I kept thinking, what if they made a mistake? What if I don't belong here? But then something hit me. I had already survived not belonging in my own home. What was there to be afraid of? His name was Daniel Whitmore, founder of a rapidly growing hospitality group across the U.S. Not flashy, not loud, but the kind of man who didn't waste time. When I walked into his office, he didn't even sit right away. He just looked at me, studying. Like he was confirming something. You handled a difficult guest 3 weeks ago, he said. I blinked. You remember that? I remember outcomes, he replied. Then he sat. Most people escalate tension, he continued. You reduced it. Without authority, without backup. I didn't know what to say, so I told the truth. I just treated him like a person, not a problem. For the first time, he smiled. We talked for almost an hour, not about titles. Not about degrees, about situations, pressure, people, judgment. At the end, he leaned back and said something I'll never forget. You've been underestimated for a long time, haven't you? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. He already knew. Then he made the offer, not a small one, not even close. A leadership role, training directly under him, a salary that didn't feel real, and one sentence that stayed with me: I don't care where you started. I care how you think. My hands were shaking, not because I was scared, because for the first time someone saw me clearly. I accepted, right there, no hesitation. The next few weeks were quiet but powerful. I didn't tell anyone. Not my coworkers, not my family, especially not them. I kept showing up to the Linden house like nothing changed. Same uniform, same desk, same smile, but inside, everything was different. I was learning, training. Building something behind the scenes. Before I continue, let me ask you something. Have you ever been working towards something big while everyone around you still sees you as small? That's where I was, living two lives, one visible. One real. At home, nothing improved. Actually, it got worse. After I refused to help at Diane's event, she stopped pretending. No more fake kindness, no more soft insults, just distance. Caleb barely acknowledged me anymore. And honestly, it didn't hurt the same way because I wasn't waiting for their approval anymore. A month later, I left my job at the hotel, quietly. No big goodbye, just a handshake with my manager and a thank you, because that place. It gave me my beginning. Then I stepped into my new life, and it moved fast, faster than anything I expected. Training turned into responsibility. Responsibility turned into leadership. And within a few months, I wasn't just learning anymore. I was making decisions, real ones, high-pressure situations, VIP clients, major events, moments where everything could go wrong and didn't. Because I knew how to handle people, Daniel never praised easily. But one evening, after a long event, he handed me a report. Guest satisfaction had jumped, significantly, because of systems I suggested, because of changes I made. You don't fix problems, he said, you prevent them. That was the moment I realized I wasn't catching up anymore. I was ahead. Then everything changed again. About 4 months in, a major business magazine reached out. They wanted to feature rising leaders in hospitality. Daniel recommended me. At first, I said no. I wasn't ready, not publicly, not yet, but he said something simple. If you keep hiding, people like them will keep defining your story. That hit hard, so I agreed. The article came out 2 weeks later. My name, my face, my story, from front desk assistant to executive leadership. It spread faster than I expected. Messages, calls, emails, people I hadn't heard from in years, and then 3 missed calls from Diane. I stared at my phone for a long time, didn't answer. Then a message came. We saw the article. We should talk, not we're proud, not we're sorry, just we should talk. Caleb texted next. Didn't know you had it in you. That one almost made me laugh, but I didn't reply to any of them because something had shifted. I didn't need them to understand me anymore. That same night, Daniel walked into my office. You've got attention now, he said. I nodded. Good or bad? I asked. He smiled slightly. That depends on what you do next. Then he placed a file on my desk. Our biggest annual event, he said. You're in charge. I opened it. Guest list, sponsors, press coverage, high profile, massive, and then I saw a name. Actually 3, Diane Carter, Caleb Carter, and their entire board, invited, confirmed. I sat there staring at the page. The same people who tried to erase me were about to walk into an event I was running. They had no idea. I looked up at Daniel. You knew? I asked. He didn't answer directly, just said, handle it however you want, but make it unforgettable. That night, I didn't feel anger, not revenge, just clarity. This wasn't about proving them wrong anymore. It was about showing the truth without saying a word, because this time I wasn't the one being watched. I was the one in control. The night of the event arrived quietly. No drama, no warning, just a building filled with people who had no idea what they were about to witness. The venue was in downtown Chicago this time, a massive glass ballroom overlooking the river. Everything was perfect: lighting, music, timing. Every detail had been planned, approved, executed by me, but no one knew that yet. I stood behind the scenes, headset on, clipboard in hand, calm. Not because I wasn't nervous, but because I had already lived through worse. This was just truth finally showing up. Guests started arriving, executives, investors, media, the room filled with voices and laughter. And then the doors opened again and I saw them. Diane walked in first, confident, controlled. Caleb right behind her, scanning the room like he owned it. They looked exactly the same, like nothing had ever happened, like I had never existed. They didn't recognize me, not at first. Why would they? I wasn't standing in the corner anymore. I wasn't wearing a uniform. I wasn't invisible. Everything ready? One of my team members asked. I nodded. Let's begin. The event started smoothly. Speeches, introductions, applause. Diane was smiling again, networking like always. Caleb was pitching ideas, shaking hands, making deals. They were comfortable, confident, completely unaware. Then it was time, the main segment, the one I had personally designed. Daniel stepped onto the stage. "Good evening, everyone," he began. The room quieted. "This evening is about more than business. It's about recognizing people who create impact where others don't look." Soft applause. He continued, "And tonight there is one person whose work has transformed how we understand service, leadership, and human connection." My heart didn't race, it didn't need to, because I already knew this moment wasn't for them. "It was for me, and it's my honor," he said, "to introduce the person behind it all." He paused, looked directly toward me, and smiled. "Emily Carter." For a second nothing moved, then the room turned, all at once, hundreds of eyes. Looking, searching, and then landing on me, I stepped forward, slowly, calmly, not rushing, not hiding, and that's when they saw me. Diane's smile disappeared, not instantly, but slowly, like reality catching up. Caleb froze, actually froze. Like his brain couldn't process what he was seeing. I walked onto that stage under lights brighter than anything I had ever stood in before, but for the first time I didn't feel small. I took a breath, looked at the audience, and then I spoke. "Good evening." My voice didn't shake. "I didn't plan to share a personal story tonight." I paused, "but I think some truths don't need permission." The room went completely silent. "I used to believe that if you worked hard enough, the people closest to you would eventually see your value." A few people nodded. "I thought patience would earn respect." I smiled slightly. It didn't. Across the room, I could see Diane's hands tightening around her glass. Caleb wasn't moving at all, so one day I stopped asking to be seen. I let that sit. And I started building a life where I didn't need to be. The air shifted, you could feel it. I was told I didn't belong. I glanced down briefly, then back up, and for a long time I believed it. Another pause. "But sometimes being pushed out," I smiled, "is exactly what forces you to step forward." The first clap came from somewhere in the back, then another, then more. I didn't look at them again, I didn't need to. "This isn't a story about revenge," I continued. "It's about clarity, about understanding that your worth is not decided in rooms where you're ignored." Now the applause was growing, stronger, real. "And if you've ever been made to feel invisible," I looked across the crowd, "don't wait for someone to invite you into their world. A small breath, build your own." The room stood, one by one, until the entire hall was on their feet. Applauding, I stepped back, not overwhelmed, not emotional, just steady, because in that moment, nothing was missing anymore. I glanced once, just once, toward Diane and Caleb. They weren't clapping, not really. Their hands moved, but their faces said everything. Shock, confusion, something close to regret, but I didn't stop. I didn't go to them. I didn't say a word, because this time they weren't the center of my story. After the event, everything moved fast. Press coverage, interviews, recognition, my name spread, my work spoke. They tried to reach out. Of course they did. Calls, messages. "Let's talk. We didn't know. We're proud." I read them. All of them, and then I put my phone down, not out of anger, not even out of hurt, but because I finally understood something simple. Peace doesn't come from being understood. It comes from not needing to be. A few weeks later, I stood alone on a balcony overlooking the city, lights everywhere, life moving, and for the first time I wasn't trying to catch up to anything. I had already arrived. If you've ever felt overlooked, if you've ever been treated like you didn't matter, remember this: you don't need their approval to become who you're meant to be. Sometimes, losing the wrong people is how you finally find yourself. If this story meant something to you, take a second and share where you're watching from. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Real Life Revenge series, because stories like this, they remind you you're not alone.